know, the white collar was more in the south part, the blue collar workers were more the north workers. This building right here was put in 2 years ago, National Jewish American History Museum.
It's a museum. At what time to open?
I think it opens fairly early, like I think it'll be open probably 9 tomorrow, 9 or 10. They just opened this last year, but it used to be about a block away, only much smaller. This was a very appealing place for Jews because of William Penn's great holy experiment.
Yes.
The experiment was that as long as you worship only one God, then you would be welcome here. Look. We thought that this religious freedom would transfer wherever it would get along. But it was still all under the control of the Quaker Council and then.
That is our car right there. We're parking there.
Yeah.
Then you can drop off there the way back, huh?
Yeah, but look at the sign saying no U-turn. You can't U-turn.
Oh.
Now you know how the horse was stopped. How he knows it's a red light when he say hoop hoop.
Philadelphia.
Which means brotherly love. This is the city of brotherly love, but it's correctly translated as brotherly love. It's from the Greek. Penn found the name in the book of Revelation.
Fox 29.
There's another city called...
Versicle, chapter 25, versicle 10, isn't it?
Yep.
You see, Eva? I know.
Somewhere around there.
It was in the chapter 25, versicle 10, in the book of Revelation in the Bible. That's historical. Okay?
But Penn just wanted a place where everyone would be rather loving. I don't know if we always live up to it, but, you know, we have our moments. But with the Quakers, I mean, they've been, you know, the city very much, even though it's not Quaker controlled anymore, still acts within that kind of, you know, passive resistance instead of military resistance. Wasn't always convenient, though. There were problems with pacifism of the Quakers. You know, when it came to defense, I mean, William Penn had made some very concrete treaties with the Lenni Lenape Indians that were here. You know, they weren't a very warlike tribe anyway, but occasionally some of the members of the Six Nations would come down and, you know, they were more warlike. So usually, you know, there would be the occasional need for defense. Especially after the French and Indian War. Penn had gotten Pennsylvania from King Charles II of England. This was due to a loan that was owed to his father. His father, who was an admiral in the British fleet, had loaned King Charles II 16,000 pounds so he could reclaim his throne from the Cromwellian. Once Penn's father died, the loan had never been repaid, so it went to young William Penn, who used it to get, you know, create his great holy experiment. But he already had land in the world. He owned some land in New Jersey. Him and 2 other merchants had bought lands within the New Jersey area.
No one said that. Well, he knows. He can see the red light.
There was already a strong Quaker influence here, but Penn didn't really spend much time here.
Where are located now? Where they are the base, the Quakers?
Still here. Like we have
in Philadelphia, here in the city?
Yep. Yeah, we have a few Quaker meeting houses around town. I think there's something like, you know, 20,000 Quakers in the city still.
But they are then on farms too, somewhere around here, isn't it?
Some farms, but they're not quite like the Amish. You know, they, you know, own businesses. A lot of people you see around the street aren't quite as strict as the Mennonites or the Amish.
They don't wear the
plain dress, but it doesn't have to be like historic.
Oh, not traditional dressing, huh?
Yeah. This building to my right, this was the Second National Bank of the U.S., designed by a man named William Strickland. Greek Revival architecture made out of what's known as Pennsylvania blue marble. It's was the battleground between President Andrew Jackson and members of the Whig Party, as well as the bank's president, a man named Nicholas Biddle. Now it's a portrait gallery. Charles Willson Peale's famous portraits of the Founding Fathers are inside. To my left, this little narrow building, that's a replica that was built in the 1950s, but the building that was originally there was from 1791. But this building right beside it was built in the 1770s. This is Carpenter's Hall. Carpenters Guild started in 1724. But in 1774, the First Continental Congress met here to discuss what was going on in Boston after the Boston Tea Party.
Okay.
This is where they wrote the Olive Branch Petition that England ignored, where they did their mighty cry, taxation without representation is tyranny. It's also where Patrick Henry did his impassioned speech that ended in, I am not a Virginian, I'm an American. Where are your borders now, gentlemen? Where are your borders now? Building right behind it's the back of the First National Bank, built in 1791. That was the first building to use the American eagle as a symbol of our country, and to have a Greek facade on it. But after the bank's charter ended, in around 1806, I believe, then it then became the Bank of Gerard's Bank. Stephen Gerard was a merchant that moved here in 1793. One of the wealthiest men in American history, up there with the Rockefellers. The building on the corner is known as the Todd House. Quaker lawyer named John Todd, his wife Dolly, and his two sons lived here. 1793, yellow fever swept through Philadelphia like a wildfire. Killed 10% of our population.
Oh my, how many people was it those times?
That was 5,000 people died in 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
John Todd and his infant son both perished. This left his wife Dolly a widow. She moved back in with her mother into her mother's boarding house, the Payne boarding house that used to be a block away from here. But in the boarding house, a family friend, a man by the name of Aaron Burr, who would later be one of the vice presidents under Jefferson, and the one to kill Hamilton in a duel. Well, Aaron Burr introduced Dolly to a good friend of his, a Virginia senator named James Madison. James Madison would become our 4th president. Dolly Madison would be the first lady to live in the White House. A statue with his back to us behind these trees. That's of a man named Robert Morris. Robert Morris was a wealthy merchant, land speculator, privateer. Nice way of calling him a pirate, but he funded a third of our revolution out of his own pocket, and he was one of only 2 people to have signed all of our documents, the Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, and the Constitution.
A pirate without the patch, huh?
Yeah. Of course, later on, he made some bad investments in the Ohio Territory, so we threw him in debtor's prison. Really, he left us no other choice. Both of our main financiers.
Independence Building.
Oh. This red brick building, this is a replica of Ben Franklin's livery company. Franklin, when coming to Philadelphia at the age of 17, only had a 4th grade education.